The most disruptive relationships don't announce themselves with noise. They arrive quietly and rearrange your entire life. Nobody tells you this part. We're trained to expect love to be loud, dramatic, almost theatrical. Big gestures, big emotions, big chaos. Movies sold it, songs screamed it, and social media put a filter on it and called it fate. So when something calm, steady, and unbothered shows up, most people scroll past it emotionally, thinking it's nothing special. That's the plot twist. Here's a fact that flips the script. Psychologists have found that people often confuse emotional anxiety with attraction because the brain releases similar chemicals in both stress and excitement. Translation: many of us fell for nervous systems, not people. That's why peace feels unfamiliar, and why the right relationship doesn't hit like a lightning bolt. It hits like clarity. This is why your next relationship might shock everyone around you. Not because the person is famous, flashy, or socially impressive, but because they don't fit the chaotic pattern people expect you to repeat. No public drama, no emotional roller coasters, no on-again, off-again episodes that turn your group chat into a live series. Just quiet confidence and emotional stability. The kind that makes outsiders uncomfortable because there's nothing to gossip about. How rude. The real shock isn't who you'll be with, it's who you'll stop being. No more over-explaining your feelings, no more decoding mixed signals like it's an exam you didn't study for. No more pretending you're fine while emotionally buffering like slow internet. This relationship doesn't drain you, it steadies you. And that's the part nobody sees coming. Love that doesn't shout, connection that doesn't confuse. A bond so grounded it looks ordinary from the outside, yet changes everything on the inside. Stay with this, because what's unfolding next isn't a fantasy. It's the reality most people miss while chasing noise. Number 1, your next relationship won't begin with fireworks. It will begin with unfamiliar calm. Most people are conditioned to believe love must arrive loudly. Racing heart, constant tension, emotional highs followed by sudden drops. We're taught that intensity equals depth, that anxiety means passion, and that unpredictability is romance. So when something calm shows up, it feels suspicious, almost wrong. The absence of drama can feel like something is missing, when in truth, something damaging is gone. This calm won't feel exciting at first. It won't hijack your sleep or keep your phone glued to your hand. There will be no urge to overthink texts or decode tone. Instead, there's steadiness. Conversations don't feel like battles to be won or performances to be perfected. You speak and you're heard. You disagree and nothing collapses. That alone will feel shocking. What makes this calm unfamiliar is not the other person. It's your nervous system. It has learned to associate love with survival, with bracing yourself, with waiting for the next emotional shift. When none of that happens, your body doesn't know how to react. You may even question whether you're truly attracted, simply because peace doesn't trigger adrenaline. This relationship doesn't demand constant proof. You won't have to earn affection by suffering or prove loyalty by enduring confusion. There's no need to stay alert for hidden motives. The calm comes from consistency, from someone doing what they say they'll do, from arguments that end in understanding, not emotional exhaustion. Others might not understand it. They'll call it boring because there's nothing dramatic to talk about, no chaos to retell, no emotional wounds to bond over. But inside, something shifts. You begin to relax into yourself. You make clearer decisions. Your energy returns. The real fire shows up later, quietly, in trust, in safety, in intimacy that doesn't require fear to feel alive. And that's when it becomes clear. This calm wasn't the absence of love. It was the foundation of it. Number 2, the person won't complete you, and that's why it will work. Most of us grow up with the story that love exists to fill gaps in our lives, to heal our wounds, and to make us whole. We're told that finding the right person will somehow finish us, fix what's broken, and cover what's missing. It's a comforting lie because it makes love feel like a project rather than a partnership. The problem is, when you seek someone to complete you, you attract the wrong energy. People who need validation, people who can't stand still without constant reassurance, people who are drawn to your vulnerability like moths to a flame, and usually that burns you out. The shocking truth about your next relationship is that it won't operate like that at all. Your partner will arrive whole. They won't be looking to borrow pieces of your soul to patch up their emptiness. They won't be scanning for flaws to fix or weaknesses to balance. They will have their own clarity, their own stability, and their own inner fulfillment. And when that happens, the dynamic changes completely. Instead of depending on each other to survive emotionally, you'll be choosing to share your lives because you want to, not because you need to. That's rare. That's unsettling to anyone used to codependency or drama, because it's a different energy altogether. Calm, intentional, and surprisingly electrifying. This relationship will reveal a hidden truth. The stronger you are alone, the better you are together. Being whole individually doesn't remove romance. It enhances it. It removes games, insecurities, and silent negotiations. Decisions are made transparently, boundaries are respected naturally, and love is offered freely, not demanded. What feels shocking isn't the other person. It's that you realize you don't need them to survive. Instead, you choose them because you want more of life, more understanding, and more growth together. This is the kind of connection that shocks everyone because it doesn't mimic the messy, needy, codependent love they expected from you. It doesn't scream for attention or create unnecessary conflict. It's rare, but once it hits, you'll understand why being whole first isn't just better. It's the only way a love like this can truly thrive. Number 3, they won't be impressed by your potential. They'll respect your discipline. Most people fall in love with potential. They get excited about what you could become, the dreams you talk about, the future you promise to build. Compliments feel like fuel, admiration is constant, and suddenly, relationships turn into auditions. Everyone wants the highlight reel of ambition, the vision of success, but very few can respect the grind, the daily consistency, the small choices that actually build a life. That's where your next relationship will shock you. This person won't care about the Instagram version of you or the plans you've been polishing for years. They'll notice the work you actually do, day in and day out, even when no one is watching. They'll see the way you stick to routines, the way you honor commitments, the way you show up for yourself and others consistently. That's what draws them, not dreams or ideas, but results of dedication. Your discipline becomes magnetic in a way that flashy potential never could be. It's a rare kind of admiration. Most people are distracted by the shiny promise of what might happen, but this person understands the value of persistence. They see that your effort isn't for show, that your habits define your reality more than your words ever could. Respecting discipline over potential means they believe in what you're already building, not what you hope to build one day. This kind of connection flips the usual script. You don't have to perform or exaggerate who you are. They don't need drama or empty reassurance or endless proof that you're going somewhere. They trust your daily consistency and understand the power it carries. That respect cuts through superficial attraction and forms a foundation of quiet, unshakable admiration. The shock isn't that they see your hard work. It's that they value it more than the flashy future you've been selling. And when someone finally does, you realize that love isn't about potential. It's about integrity, effort, and the invisible discipline that quietly turns dreams into reality. Number 4, They won't chase you and they won't run from you either. Most relationships are built on imbalance. One person chases, one person retreats. One gives too much, the other takes too easily. One moment feels like connection, the next like a game you didn't sign up for. It's exhausting, and yet many of us confuse that tension with passion. Your next relationship will shock you because it doesn't follow that script. There is no chase. There is no sudden withdrawal. There is only presence, steady and deliberate. This doesn't mean it's passive or unexciting. It means the dynamic is honest. They show up without drama, without testing boundaries for validation, and without making you prove your loyalty. They don't need constant reassurance that you care, and they don't pull away to manipulate or punish. Their energy is consistent, and that consistency is magnetic because it's rare. People are used to emotional turbulence, and when someone simply exists alongside you without agenda, it feels unsettlingly powerful. What makes this relationship extraordinary is how it removes fear from love. When someone chases you, you start questioning your value. When someone runs from you, you start questioning your worth. In this case, there's none of that. You are free to be yourself without performance, without anxiety over whether you're enough. The space between you isn't tension, it's understanding. The connection doesn't rely on manipulation or suspense. It relies on mutual respect and choice. Outsiders might misinterpret it. They might think it's boring or easy because it lacks the highs and lows they expect. But inside, it's electrifying in a different way. You don't feel pulled apart or put on display. You feel seen, appreciated, and understood, all without the emotional games you've been trained to endure. The real shock is realizing that love doesn't have to feel like a chase to be meaningful. It doesn't have to be exhausting to be unforgettable. When someone shows up without running and without chasing, it reveals a rare truth. The strongest connections aren't built on pursuit or escape. They're built on balance, presence, and unwavering choice. Number 5. People who underestimated you will suddenly feel exposed. There's a strange satisfaction in watching people who once doubted you stumble when confronted with the truth of your life. Not out of malice, but because your next relationship will reveal a side of you they never anticipated. For years, some people may have dismissed your potential, ignored your boundaries, or underestimated your emotional intelligence. They might have treated your growth casually, assuming you'd remain the same predictable version of yourself they were comfortable with. But this person, your next partner, enters your life in a way that changes the narrative completely. This isn't about showing off or proving anyone wrong. It's about living in a way that aligns fully with who you've become. The respect, love, and partnership you experience with this person will shine so clearly, so unapologetically, that anyone who once misjudged you will feel the weight of their miscalculation. They'll notice the shift in your energy, the calm confidence, the quiet assertiveness that wasn't there before. They'll see the clarity in your decisions and the peace in your presence, and it will be impossible for them to ignore. It's shocking because they'll realize that your worth wasn't dependent on their approval. It was always inherent, always there, just unacknowledged. And now, paired with someone who sees and matches your value, that truth becomes undeniable. The contrast between who you were for them and who you are now is glaring. It's uncomfortable for them, yes, but liberating for you. You no longer play small, you no longer seek validation, and you no longer tolerate underestimation. The power of this realization isn't just in others' reactions, it's in your own. You finally experience a love and a partnership that doesn't compromise your standards or your energy. You feel seen fully, respected naturally, and celebrated without effort. And as a result, anyone who once doubted you is forced to confront that your life and your love cannot be minimized or controlled. They're exposed, not because of malice, but because your growth, your choice, and your next relationship demand recognition. Number 6. This relationship will quietly end several friendships. Not every friendship is meant to survive your growth, and your next relationship will make that obvious. It won't come with arguments or dramatic confrontations. There won't be a public fallout or a viral moment for people to gossip about. Instead, it will unfold quietly, naturally, almost imperceptibly, until you notice that certain people no longer fit into your life. The ones who thrived on chaos, who fed on your insecurities, or who were comfortable keeping you small, will slowly fade into the background. And that's not cruelty, it's clarity. This happens because your partner will bring a level of stability, perspective, and consistency that changes your energy. You will no longer tolerate the same old patterns. Conversations that once felt essential might now feel draining. Hangouts that once seemed fun might now feel shallow or misaligned with who you've become. You'll begin to see people as they are, not as you hoped they could be, and the contrast will be striking. Relationships that were once convenient or habitual will suddenly feel out of place in the life you're building. The quiet ending of these friendships is a form of evolution. It's a signal that you're moving into a space where your energy matters more, where your priorities are aligned with growth, and where emotional bandwidth is reserved for what genuinely elevates you. It's not about cutting people off out of spite. It's about making room for depth, connection, and mutual respect. Your partner, without even trying, will highlight who truly belongs in your life and who doesn't. The shock isn't in losing friends. It's in realizing that the absence of certain people makes your life lighter, your decisions clearer, and your relationship stronger. The friendships that remain feel more intentional, more honest, and more fulfilling. And as for those who drift away, their disappearance isn't loss. It's proof that you're finally in alignment with the right energy, the right love, and the right life. This quiet pruning is not painful in the long run. It's liberation disguised as subtle change. Number 7. Your partner will challenge your self-image more than your enemies ever did. It sounds counterintuitive, but the person who truly belongs in your life won't just compliment you or admire your strengths. They will force you to confront who you really are. They won't attack you, insult you, or push your buttons out of malice. Instead, through their presence, honesty, and expectations, they will shine a light on the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, rationalizing, or quietly hiding from the world. This is a kind of challenge that your so-called enemies could never deliver, because they only provoke defensiveness. Your partner challenges from a place of care, not cruelty, and that makes it both unsettling and transformative. They will make you question your narratives, the stories you've been telling yourself about your worth, your capabilities, and even your limitations. The mirror they hold up doesn't reflect superficial flaws. It exposes the subtle compromises, the habitual excuses, and the patterns of self-doubt that quietly governed your life. And because they respect you, they won't allow you to stay there. They will expect growth, accountability, and integrity. And their patience will be paired with an unwavering refusal to tolerate stagnation. This kind of challenge is not about confrontation or correction. It's about awakening. You will realize that the discomfort you feel in these moments isn't rejection. It's recognition. It's the recognition that you've been coasting, settling, or hiding under layers of pretense. And now someone sees the real you and refuses to let you stay small. Your partner's challenge awakens ambition, courage, and self-respect in ways that rivals, critics, and adversaries never could. The shock is profound. Love doesn't just make life sweeter, it makes life sharper. It forces introspection without resentment and growth without manipulation. You emerge not just loved, but elevated, redefined, and more honest with yourself than ever before. And that, more than any external validation, is the power of being with someone who truly sees you. Number 8, you'll be seen without being studied. There's a rare kind of connection that doesn't come with analysis, decoding, or constant questioning. Most relationships operate like mental chess games, where every word, gesture, or silence is dissected for hidden meaning. People analyze to control, to predict, or to manipulate. It leaves you exhausted, doubting yourself and constantly performing. Your next relationship will shock you because it won't follow that pattern. With this person, you'll be fully visible without ever feeling like a puzzle to be solved. They won't interrogate your motives, dissect your past, or attempt to fix you. They won't make you justify every emotion or defend every choice. Instead, they'll observe without judgment, listen without interruption, and understand without needing explanations. The calm confidence in their presence allows you to drop the constant self-monitoring that most relationships demand. You don't have to mask, explain, or perform. You simply exist, and that existence is enough. Being seen without being studied transforms how you experience intimacy. You start to notice the small things, how your quirks are accepted, how your silences aren't treated as gaps to fill, how your opinions are respected even when they differ from theirs. It's a subtle but profound shift. Instead of feeling pressure to curate yourself for approval, you start to relax into authenticity. Your energy becomes lighter because you're no longer weighed down by the need to impress, anticipate, or justify. The real shock comes when you realize how rare this is. Most of your past connections thrived on suspicion, misunderstanding, or the need to prove yourself. This one doesn't. They see you fully, not as a project, not as a test, not as someone to be manipulated. They see you simply as you. And that kind of acceptance doesn't just make love easier, it changes how you see yourself. You begin to feel worthy, grounded, and safe in your own skin. You learn that intimacy doesn't have to be complicated, and that true connection doesn't demand performance. It demands presence. And when you experience that, nothing else feels quite as shocking or as freeing ever again. Number 9, the connection will feel too normal to outsiders who thrive on dysfunction. Most people are drawn to relationships that are loud, dramatic, and full of emotional turbulence. It's the stories of chaos, betrayal, and impulsive passion that dominate social feeds and dinner table conversations. People talk about them endlessly because conflict creates attention, and instability feels exciting from the outside. But your next relationship will shock everyone precisely because it doesn't follow that predictable script. It will feel too normal for outsiders who are used to measuring love by its drama. This normalcy is anything but boring. It doesn't rely on constant emotional highs or lows to keep things interesting. It relies on trust, respect, and consistency, the kind that quietly strengthens rather than shatters. Your conversations won't be tests or performances. Your disagreements won't escalate into battles. Instead, understanding, compromise, and patience become the default, creating a rhythm that outsiders often fail to recognize as remarkable. To them, the absence of chaos makes it look mundane, but in reality, it's revolutionary. What makes this so powerful is that it allows both of you to grow without distraction. There's no energy wasted decoding intentions, managing crises, or surviving unnecessary games. You begin to operate on a level of clarity and intentionality that many have never experienced. The focus shifts from reaction to creation, from surviving the emotional storm to building a life together with purpose, alignment, and shared respect. Outsiders might scoff or assume the relationship is unremarkable because it doesn't provide the spectacle they're used to. They don't understand that the true strength of this connection lies in its stability, in the freedom it gives you to be fully yourself without fear. They don't see the intimacy that flourishes because neither party is performing, manipulating, or testing boundaries. The real shock is internal. You realize that the most extraordinary love isn't the one that shakes your world violently. It's the one that steadies it. It's the one that feels normal on the surface but transforms everything underneath, quietly proving that true connection doesn't need drama to be unforgettable. Number 10. You won't need to perform strength in this relationship. Most relationships demand a kind of performance. You carry masks, put on armor, and show strength even when you feel weak because you've learned that vulnerability is risky. You hold back tears, hide doubts, and present a version of yourself that seems unbreakable. It exhausts you, and yet it often goes unnoticed. Your next relationship will shock you because none of that is necessary. You won't have to prove how strong you are because the right person doesn't measure you by your performance. They meet you where you are. This doesn't mean weakness is exploited or taken lightly. It means that you can be human without fear of judgment or abandonment. You can express frustration, admit mistakes, or show insecurity, and it won't compromise their respect or love. There's no expectation that you must constantly shield your vulnerabilities or hide your scars. Instead, you are allowed to lean, to falter, and even to fail. And the relationship absorbs it with balance, patience, and understanding. That alone feels revolutionary, almost disorienting because most of your past experiences were built around the idea that strength must always be demonstrated. Without the need to perform, your energy shifts. You no longer exhaust yourself maintaining appearances. You speak openly, make decisions without fear of scrutiny, and allow emotions to flow naturally. This freedom isn't just comforting, it transforms the way you engage with life and love. You realize that strength isn't about never breaking. It's about being whole enough to show your cracks and still stand. The shock comes when you notice how rare this is. Most people you've been with equated love with testing, proving, and enduring. This person doesn't. They see the real you and embrace it fully. You finally understand that love can be a place of rest, not a stage. You finally see that true connection doesn't require constant performance. It thrives in authenticity, vulnerability, and the quiet power of being allowed to exist as you are, strong, weak, and everything in between, without having to prove a single thing. Number 11. They will arrive after you've stopped auditioning for love. For most of your life, you may have treated love like an audition. You curated your words, controlled your actions, and carefully measured every step to impress, to prove your worth, or to make someone stay. You gave more than you should, explained more than necessary, and tolerated far more than you deserved, all in the hope of earning affection. It's exhausting, and it rarely works. Your next relationship will shock you because it doesn't enter during this stage of performance. It arrives when you've finally stopped auditioning, when you've stopped trying to be someone else just to fit someone else's expectations. By the time this person comes into your life, you are unapologetically yourself. You've cultivated boundaries, you've grown into your standards, and you've learned to recognize what you will and won't accept. You no longer bend to the whims of others or measure your value by external approval. That clarity creates a magnetic energy. The right person doesn't need a performance. They are drawn to the real, unfiltered you. The shock comes from the contrast. They appear when you're no longer desperate, no longer seeking validation, and no longer performing for love that never fit. This timing changes everything. Because you are no longer trying, the relationship is built on choice, not obligation. Every interaction feels intentional. Every connection feels genuine. You don't feel the anxiety of proving yourself, and they don't feel the pressure of needing to manipulate or chase. The result is a partnership grounded in mutual respect, authenticity, and alignment. rather than conditional affection or need. The real revelation isn't about them, it's about you. You realize that love only became fully possible when you stopped trying to force it, when you stopped molding yourself to someone else's desires, and when you finally embraced your own value. That's the kind of love that shocks everyone, not because it's flashy or dramatic, but because it's real, rare, and completely unforced. You show up fully, they show up fully, and for the first time, love doesn't feel like a performance, it feels inevitable. Number 12, the relationship will upgrade your life logistics, not just your emotions. Most people think relationships only impact feelings, love, passion, connection. But your next relationship will change far more than your heart. It will touch the practical, everyday layers of your life that rarely get attention, but define your reality. From routines to finances, from personal habits to future planning, this person will shift the way you operate without ever demanding it. The shock comes when you realize love can transform not just how you feel, but how you live. This isn't about control or judgment, it's about alignment. Your partner will naturally influence you to be more organized, more intentional, and more disciplined simply by their presence. Your conversations about life won't feel like lectures, they'll feel like shared clarity. Bills get paid on time, schedules become predictable, and priorities sharpen. Decisions that once felt overwhelming start to make sense because there's someone beside you who mirrors responsibility, foresight, and balance. It's subtle but profound. The transformation spreads quietly into all areas of life. Habits you tolerated because you were distracted or exhausted now feel unnecessary. Choices that once seemed minor suddenly matter because the foundation of your life is being strengthened in ways you never noticed before. And because this change isn't enforced, it feels empowering rather than restrictive. You don't feel controlled, you feel upgraded. The emotional depth of the relationship intensifies because your logistics support it. Arguments about money, schedules, or commitments fade because both of you operate on the same page. Stress decreases, and the mental bandwidth that used to be consumed by chaos becomes free to nurture growth, adventure, and intimacy. The true shock comes when you notice the ripple effect. Your career, your health, your social life, even your self-esteem begin to align with a higher standard you didn't know was possible. Love, in this case, doesn't just comfort the heart, it organizes the life. It proves that the right partnership doesn't just feel good. It transforms everything around you, quietly upgrading the infrastructure of your existence while making the journey of life smoother, clearer, and unexpectedly exhilarating. Number 13. The shock won't be who they are. It'll be who you become beside them. The most surprising part of your next relationship won't be the person themselves. It won't be their looks, their status, or even the charm they carry. The real revelation will be you, the way you evolve, expand, and transform simply by existing alongside someone who complements your life. This isn't about being molded or controlled, it's about being reflected in a mirror that shows not just who you are, but who you're capable of becoming. This relationship will reveal strengths you didn't know you had. You'll handle situations with more patience, think with more clarity, and act with more confidence. You'll notice yourself making decisions that are intentional rather than reactive. Patterns of doubt, hesitation, and self-sabotage that plagued you in the past will start to fade because your partner doesn't enable them. They highlight what's possible when you operate at your best. The growth is so deep it feels like a personal revolution disguised as everyday life. The changes aren't just internal. They extend outward into how you interact with the world. You'll carry yourself differently. People will notice your calm, your confidence, your quiet assurance. Friends and acquaintances might comment on the energy you radiate, and for the first time, you'll recognize that this isn't performance. It's authenticity amplified. You're no longer bending to expectations or limiting yourself to what others think is possible. You're expanding because someone beside you believes in consistency, integrity, and mutual growth, and their presence acts as a catalyst. The shock is also subtle, almost imperceptible at first. Small decisions, subtle shifts in habits, tiny victories in self-discipline, they accumulate until one day you realize that you've been quietly upgraded. You are sharper, calmer, more intentional, and more aligned with your own potential. And that is far more astonishing than any external drama or superficial attraction. This is why the person isn't the story. You are. Love, in this instance, doesn't just touch the heart, it transforms the person entirely, revealing that the most extraordinary relationships don't just change your life, they change the version of yourself who lives it. Number 14. This relationship will confirm that your solitude was preparation, not punishment. For years, you may have felt lonely, misunderstood, or left behind while watching others pair up. Solitude often feels like a sentence, a period of waiting filled with questions about timing, worth, and why love seems to pass you by. But your next relationship will shock you because it flips that perspective entirely. The person who enters your life will show you that all those months, or even years, alone, weren't a punishment. They were preparation. Every choice you made, every boundary you enforced, every moment you spent refining yourself quietly in the background was getting you ready for this exact connection. This relationship doesn't just arrive. It validates the solitude you endured. It proves that your patience, your self-discipline, and your willingness to remain unattached until the right energy appeared were not wasted. The calm, the respect, the alignment you now experience is only possible because you spent time learning who you truly are, what you will accept, and what you refuse to compromise. In other words, your alone time wasn't empty, it was formative. The shock isn't that love finally came, it's how perfectly it fits. You notice how effortless it feels to exist with this person, how deeply aligned your values, priorities, and energy are. There's no desperation, no frantic chasing, no settling for less. The relationship arrives at the precise moment you've evolved into the version of yourself capable of sustaining it, making every lonely day and every quiet struggle feel like a necessary step rather than a setback. You'll finally understand that solitude isn't a void, it's training. It's refining your energy, your standards, and your emotional resilience. You'll recognize that the experiences you once saw as isolation were quietly shaping you into someone ready for a love that is rare, intentional, and transformative. The true revelation is liberating. Being alone was never a curse. It was the preparation required for a love that doesn't just enter your life, but elevates it entirely. Solitude, in hindsight, was the foundation upon which this extraordinary connection could stand, solid, unshakable, and life-changing. Your next relationship isn't just another chapter. It's a quiet revolution in your life. It won't arrive with drama, chaos, or the hollow excitement of temporary highs. Instead, it will arrive with precision, patience, and an energy that reshapes everything you thought you knew about love. It will reveal your strength, your clarity, and your worth in ways that no outside validation ever could. The shock won't be in who they are, but in who you become beside them. Calm replaces chaos, respect replaces performance, and choice replaces neediness. Your growth, your discipline, your self-awareness, all the time you spent alone, finally meets its purpose. This isn't just love, it's alignment. A love that upgrades your life, strengthens your foundations, and teaches you that the most extraordinary connections are built on presence, authenticity, and unwavering understanding. Every moment in this relationship amplifies your best self, and in turn, It forces those around you, friends, acquaintances, even former doubters, to reckon with the reality of your transformation. You are no longer playing small, seeking approval, or performing for attention. You are seen, respected, and elevated, and that is the true power of being with someone who matches your energy. This isn't about fireworks that burn out. It's about a steady flame that lights up everything in its path, inside and out. Your journey to this connection proves that patience, solitude, and self-mastery were never wasted. They were preparation, the silent work that made you ready for a love that doesn't just touch the heart, but strengthens, sharpens, and transforms the life around it. The right relationship doesn't just arrive, it awakens, aligns, and redefines. If you found yourself inspired or shook to your core by this, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more insights that cut through the noise. Like this video if it resonated, comment below with your thoughts, and share it with someone who needs to hear this truth. This is more than advice. It's a reminder that extraordinary love is possible, and it often shows up exactly when you're ready to receive it. Stay blessed always.